And so to continue on with this, for instance, I have an idea. But anytime I have an idea, it's a good idea. And people should be on board with me, so I should go to turn to my right and say, hey, look, I want to fuck up ESRI User Convention downtown. I passed by, it says ESRI, we got to get in there, we got to find out. It's too late, they've already done it up in Sacramento, but I want to find out from it, to have my name on it, and to have some stake there with people and find out who the people are. If I'm a tech writer, we want to write an article on when Sacramento said, all the counties in California are going to have to take down anyone that was had the REST API, anyone that had all of the property owner addresses and names in the database that could be easily accessed that way. ArcGIS, they service so many of the counties here, and so I want to meet these people if contingent on. At the user convention, immediately following that, when they were going to implement that, when it went into implementation, they had special breakout sessions, at the ESRI User Convention that year, because it's always down there in San Diego. They're up in Redlands. They come down to the convention center to whitewash that information from these databases, and because that right there, then you find out who these people are, and you can have conversations with them. You can start to learn. If I have a conspiracy theory about something, even if I can't prove it or it doesn't turn out right, it turns out to be a damn good tech article, and it turns out to be something. These are the people you want to be. But I'm discombobulated because I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at a computer. That's important data that I care about. This is the stuff I care about, that we got to stay active and alive in the world of advocacy and not let people tell you you're nobody, you're a janitor, you're not going to be able to marry my daughter, you're not going to touch the property, you're not going to 1031 exchange it into markets like Phoenix or Las Vegas or the rural areas. You're not going to, sell it and then put down payments on strip malls and apartment buildings in emerging markets where we're going to transfer what I call misplaced equity to high CFATs, and because my penis was made small by psychiatry. There's all these things you can do to transfer what I call misplaced equity into high CFATs, high income, return on investment, income property. It's the best thing to do because you got a chance of getting ahead. You got a chance of being someone that's not just, especially for someone like me, it's a little bit of a different situation because my six-figure income, because I can't be a doctor, because I can't be a lawyer, because I can't be an engineer yet, because of it, that six-figure income has to come from real estate income. It has to come from developing or owning real estate and collecting rental income, because I'm not going to be able to date the women at my own level. I don't find them attractive. It won't bring me happiness. It won't bring me joy. I won't be able to travel to the places I want to go, dress the way I want to dress, be around the people I want to be around. I have an identity incompatible with my actual ability to contribute. And there's a lot of reasons, and you can say what you want about it, but just like gay, lesbian, transsexual, bisexual, you can't tell me to date someone at your level. And I want to give you a good example. One of the jobs I was looking into, like I said, word of mouth is the best thing, was a janitor at the Conrad Previs, at San Diego State University. It's their student union there, and there's a company called Aramark that is contracted out by Cal State for that. And so I was talking to the supervisor there, who would be my supervisor at Aramark. And as I was chatting with him, shaking his hand, saying, I can't wait to get to work for you, he gave me the manager's number. There was a beautiful Mexican girl, skinny, slender, not bad built, but she had this necklace on. And she had I call it a welfare look. But Simone Biles popularized it, that gold, and Hawaiians have loved to do that, but that's always the welfare people. But she had this gold crucifix, a cross necklace, Christian symbol, crucifix, whatever you want to call it. And I don't want to go to that heaven, because that's a place where there is a God above you, a Savior to his right, and all this all around, the pyramid scheme of light that angels are. And maybe I should develop this into a very prose poetry kind of essay, but I'm going to have to keep it simple, because that takes hypnosis time. That's the work of the writer. I don't have time for that. I've got to get a hold of money. I've got to get a hold of cash flow. But that's not a place I want to go. And so I got a series of images that have popped up in my head, that if I were sitting in front of a typewriter, in front of a notebook with a fountain pen, I'd be expanding on these images. But something that comes to mind is Vancouver, there's these riots that were happening, and this was Occupy Wall Street. I talked a little bit about my era, Facebook, and my heart sinking because I saw the BART train in San Francisco that said Facebook jobs. But Facebook is where we can go and be a billionaire and have that kind of voice, and it's a place where we can drown out Fox News, drown out CNN. We're as important as Donald Trump, and we can manipulate our friends the way the media helped Donald Trump to manipulate the media, or to manipulate the people, and, or whatever. And so I was looking at that, and my heart just, I don't want a job. I want to be on these planes without limit. So there was something called the Verizon Unlimited plan at the time. They're still very good. Verizon Postpaid. I may have to get Verizon Postpaid. That's what we got to get this job. There's all these things we got to do so I can keep putting out this content. I need good internet, but I think Verizon Visible probably will do the job for me. But if I need Verizon Postpaid, but they've got really high quality, internet, and so it's called unlimited. It's just unlimited. It's they don't, take down the speed of it. And it just, you get it, and it's pure. It's there's no interference. Everything's signal, not noise, with Verizon Postpaid, and that's really one of the best things. But how about unlimited money? These are the conversation I want to sit across the table and have with someone, and yet you have these people. Maybe I'm judging that girl. Maybe she didn't really speak a word of English. She was very limited English. And I don't have the time right now to learn Spanish. As beautiful as that story would be, it's maybe, who knows, but I just can't. There's no way to make that connection, because she's a person, and that's a social class that shouldn't exist. And there's a religious aspect to this. Like I said, I read Napoleon Hill, The Law of Success, and that talks about manifestation. Michael Bernard Beckwith, and he talks about already believing you have what you're meant for. Some people won't say, I'm meant to own skyscrapers. I will say, I'm meant to own skyscrapers. And I like a woman in a fur coat, like when Melania Trump appears in a fur coat next to Donald Trump. Some people aren't going to say they like that kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I was talking about owning private jets when I was talking about owning entire airlines. I was talking about starting global airlines on a level higher than, at the time, Gordon Bethune's Continental. He has that book that he wrote when I was in elementary school, Comeback book about Continental Airlines. And something that's going to have to be, I have to sit down and write it. We don't have the time to finish it. The reason why that Vancouver image came up is because I was going to talk about when we were in Occupy. I was never in the tents. I was never in the trenches with these people. I was going to make this beautiful. What I do is I go on this, you can call it hypnotic regression, but it's just I make things the way they should be. And so there's these guys where we smell like shit. We have homes, we still live with our parents, and we're blaming Bank of America for it. So we're going to go camp out in, whether it's Cincinnati or New York, Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, Honolulu. And I'm looking at them, so we're shitting in buckets. I'm getting ready to pour this shit onto the ATMs of Bank of America, onto the ATMs at Chase Bank, whether it's in Los Angeles or in Times Square in New York. We're occupying Wall Street. And so in our tents, there's a little light. And that little light, I was going to call it a little light from Vancouver. And I was going to make reference to the, like when Francis Scott Key's in the national anthem talks about bombs bursting in air, that picture of the kiss, I don't know if you all remember that, but there's this kiss picture that's a lot like the VJ Day picture, but it's just, what is this war for? War, what is it good for? So I was gonna talk about Lucifer, and that I live in that light, and I live in the lights of these students that I see. I would be looking down from that student union as I'm doing, say, the third floor, cleaning the bathrooms, sweeping things up, looking down at Eureka across the way late into the night when they're open. And those are like Tiffany Trump. She's named after, I think, there's Edison. There's Edison, but there's also Tiffany. It's fixtures, beautiful light. That's where I live. That's where I live. Not in that head.